friends, it's Julie, and today I'm going to talk about the 60-day self-care challenge that I'm doing for myself. It's a part of the overall rosy lifestyle that I've been trying to keep up in the name of controlling all of my rosacea symptoms and just living a better overall healthy, greener kind of lifestyle as a whole. If you've been following me on social media, especially on Facebook and on Instagram, then you will know that I have been tracking the first few days of this 60-day challenge that I've started for myself. I've completely made this up. This is, maybe there's one just like it out there, I don't know, but when there were 60 days left of this year, I decided it was time to take control back over my life after it was getting really messed up there for a while, and I thought I'm going to do at least one thing every single day, specifically in the name of self-care for myself. It's September and October especially were just absolutely wild. I had no idea how thinly I'd spread myself. I took on way too much. I had to take on way too much. It was completely worth it, but by the end of it, everything I was doing was messy. I wasn't sleeping anymore. I hadn't slept in so long that I wouldn't have been safe driving my car anymore. It was almost like I was drunk. So I decided that that had definitely gone too far. I definitely needed to make a priority of me again. I needed to stop with all of the things that I was doing in the various different parts of my life and actually just step back and get a grip. In September, I had two huge events, and then I needed to help somebody I work with to get ready to take a week off, so there was a week of extra work that we both had to cover in advance. It was absolutely nuts. I don't think I've ever accomplished so much in a month. I was very, very proud of myself, but very tired. I got a cold that I worked straight through, not a minute off, no naps, nothing. Then October came around, and that was the last month before the next book in my fiction series was published, and while the writing and everything was done, there is a shocking amount of work and stress and marketing that goes into the launch of a book. The writing part for me is the calm part. That's the part that I find thrilling, that I really enjoy, that I look forward to. Once the writing is done and the editing and proofing and everything is done and everything else comes in, right before and right after the launch of a book is just surreal. By the time Halloween came around, the day that the book actually launched, I barely even remember it all that well, and I don't drink or anything. It's just that there was just so much going on and I was so overwhelmed. I don't think I could have taken on one more thing. So the next day on November 1st came along, and while it was still continuing, it wasn't launch day anymore. So I still hadn't slept, and I thought it's time to get things back under control. So I thought, the year's almost done. I figured the next day there would be exactly 60 days left to the year, November 2nd, and I got going on this challenge. And I decided to call it a challenge just so that I would take it seriously, so that I would have steps that I would follow, I would hold myself accountable for the things that I was doing. And I decided that I only needed to do one thing every day in the name of self-care. I hoped that other people would join me if I started sharing it on social media, and you did, and I'm so excited about that. Some of you have shared your progress or the things that you're doing, or some of just the things, even if you're not doing it quite to the extreme extent that I am with a little sort of graph thing that I'm sharing all the time on my social media every day. You're still telling me about the awesome healthy smoothie that you had, or the meditation or the prayer or whatever it is that you've done in the name of your mental health or just your overall well-being, and I have appreciated that so much. So in my case, basically what I did was I made a little kind of 60-day calendar idea for myself, and every day I cross off another day, and I have beneath it, I have a list of different possible kind of categories that I can pay attention to. And while I don't feel the need to fill in every single category with something great that I've done for myself, I have found that by looking at those categories, I'm paying more attention to them. So for example, if I put breakfast, lunch, dinner, because I need to fill that out and I'll be sharing it with everyone, I take a little bit more care. So because it was right after Halloween, I did have a little bit of leftover Halloween candy, and instead of eating it all, which would be my normal thing because I have absolutely no self-control when there are sweets in the house, which is why there are never sweets in my house, I left them because I didn't want to have to write down that that's what I'd had. I've been having things like apples for dessert and things like that, and honestly, I've really enjoyed it. So on my list, I've just got it on my computer screen just below where you can see, but I have breakfast, lunch, dinner, meditation, which I started for the very first time on November 1st. So when I started this challenge, it was my second time meditating ever. I have tried meditating, but only on my own and kind of in weird guided meditations for sleep where you're just sort of listening and trying to visualize, or I've tried it on my own where I've tried to clear my mind, which I have since found out is absolute nonsense and that's not what you're doing at all. I have been using Headspace. This is not a sponsored video at all. This is, if I do mention any brands or apps or anything like that, none of this is sponsored. This is just what I've found is working for me. It might not work for you, or it could be the option for you. I don't know, but I'm just sharing how I'm doing this. So I started using Headspace. I was doing the beginner or it's basic. I've been doing that as of today. It's Saturday. I filmed this the day before I put it out because I have to edit it. So I've done 10 straight days of meditation now. I do 3 minutes in the morning, and then I repeat the exact same program again in the evening before going to sleep. Sometimes I do a sleep meditation as well. Just love it. I find it really, I didn't think I would like it at all. I'm a big fan of John Green and I watch Vlogbrothers, and I saw him when he did his 100 days challenge and he incorporated meditation in, and he struggled quite a bit of it. He said about 1 out of every 5 times it was absolutely catastrophic. His mental health issues are very different from mine, but yet we still have a lot in common in that way, in terms of invasive thoughts and thought spirals and things like that. So I was very concerned, but I still wanted to give it a try. I love it. I absolutely love it. I haven't mastered it. I'm not great at it, but by the end of it, I feel better. And there was one day that I found very, very hard in the last 10 days. And there's an option to do, it's 3 minutes long, and it's for when you're feeling overwhelmed. They also have panic and things like that on Headspace. And I did the overwhelmed one, and I felt better afterwards. It didn't fix my problems, but I felt like I could cope with them. And that's exactly the kind of thing I wanted from this challenge. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, meditation, doing that at least 2 times a day. I also track my physical activity and specific anxiety control efforts. I'll talk about those in a moment. And I also, something I've taken off my to-do list, so I'll have a sense of completion, and then any extras. So breakfast, lunch, dinner, meditation. I've talked about physical activity. I have started to do every hour for several hours throughout the day. I do 5 minutes of intense workout, and then in the evenings I do a big walk, a brisk big walk, so that I make sure that despite the fact that I'm working at home and I sit at a computer, I am active regularly. That is very, very, very good for mental health, but it's also very good for your rosacea, and I find that too many of us avoid doing workouts because we think that it will flare us up, especially because we do go red in the face when we work out. But the truth is, while we might end up with some redness after we work out, the more we do workouts on a regular basis, and especially if we're not doing things like with yoga where you turn upside down, downward facing dog, that kind of thing. But if you do more upright and you don't push yourself too far, you just moderate regular workouts, it keeps things a little more controlled, at least in my case and what I've read at the National Rosacea Society. It does actually help to keep things controlled, but the key is to do it regularly. And it's made a huge difference for me. It's made an observable difference for me. I'm super impressed with that. So I'm keeping that up. I'm really thrilled with it. I feel better. I feel like I look a little better. So that's enough motivation for me. Aside from the fact that it's good for overall health, it also keeps me calm and helps to keep my face less red. So those are some great drivers for me. Anxiety control. I have had social anxiety disorder and a panic disorder, and I suffer from occasional bouts of pretty serious depression and probably a whole package of other things. I talked about that in my rosacea and stress video. If you haven't seen that, I will put a link to it above so that you can click to it once this video is done if you want. Even though I've had these conditions for quite some time and I was on several different medications to control them for several years, I've only ever been to a psychiatrist once. It was extremely hard on me. I didn't like the entire experience. It just went very badly. I know that professionals can help. I know that these are wonderful, caring people. Whether you go to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a therapist, whatever a counselor, whatever expert you want to see, they can be very helpful. I went one time, it terrified me and I didn't go back. probably the worst thing I could have done. This was a very long time ago. If the same situation was now, I probably would do things differently, but I'm not even in the same city anymore. So basically, I went to the Canadian Mental Health Association online and I tried to check what kind of resources were available to me. I don't live in a very big city, so the resources are quite limited. I'm really unimpressed with that. That said, while I may not be too impressed with the Ontario government in terms of mental assistance availability, unless you're in a very big city, and then they're probably, I don't know what kind of wait lists are there, but the Canadian Mental Health Association provides some pretty awesome services themselves, and they have links to some pretty amazing things that you can do for free that are self-guided, or they help to show you where you can find help locally. Again, I couldn't find any local programs. The nearest one is about an hour and a half drive from me, so not ready to do that yet, especially because it's social anxiety disorder, so the thought of me having to go to a group therapy an hour and a half away and keep an appointment, which is another stressor for me, is just, it's a little unlikely at the moment, but it does have self-guided things. I'm very good at self-guided, I'm very disciplined, I'm very driven. So I am doing a program of books and I'm doing a program of videos simultaneously. I go with whichever one I feel prepared to do that day. And if I don't feel prepared to focus on it that day, I don't do it. I wait until the next day because I want to take this very seriously. So I have a whole series of books that I'm going through. These look amazing to me. They have activities on the inside. I've completed the first book, which is basically just an introduction to how to use all the other books, but it does have some activities in that you have to like write to yourself and things like that. This isn't light stuff and it's not hokey. It feels hokey until you try and do it, and then you realize how challenging it is, and it's challenging in a very good way that helps to provide you, or at least me, with a lot more awareness of what's going on in my mind, where I am right now and where I really want to be. I'm also doing the videos from the program called Bounce Back. The videos are free. I will put a link to where you can get this stuff. I bought the books. The videos are free though, so I will put a link in the video description to where you can get these if you're interested in them too. Again, I don't make any money. This is not sponsored. This is just the resources I'm using in case you're interested in them. I've done a few of the videos already, and I've watched a couple of them that I feel are very pertinent to me a couple of times. It is cognitive behavioral therapy based. I know that's something that is really not a self-guided thing, but I'm trying my best. For the to-do list, it's normally just something that I have been meaning to do and that I haven't. I have lists, to-do lists everywhere. I have all these different notebooks and things that I write. Each notebook is for a different part of my life. It's for Rosy JulieBC, or it's for my book series, or it's for just basically my personal life and things that I want to do there, or for my freelance writing, or any of the different things that I have my fingers into right now. And basically I try to get started on one of those things every single day. Oh, I just realized I meant to be wearing my poppy. I'm a bad person. I wasn't wearing it. I had it on my desk, so I would be wearing it in this video because this video is going out on November 11th. So there, I have my poppy on. I'm not a bad person. The next thing that I've left room for is something a little bit extra. It may not have been on my to-do list, but I came up with it. For example, today I'm going to replace my toenail polish with this one. It's just something silly, but it is in the name of self-care. I like it when my toes look nice and have a pretty color on, and right now they do not look like that. So what does all of this have to do with rosacea, and why am I sharing it here? Directly, nothing. This is not something I'm doing for rosacea control. That said, I think that it is very, as a whole, as a part of my lifestyle, I think that this is extremely important for rosacea control. And the reason is that I am one of those people, and not everybody agrees with me, but I am one of the people who does not believe that there is a single thing, one thing that you can do to get rosacea under control. I don't think, regardless of the claims that are made, I don't think there is a cream out there that I can put on my face that's going to make all the redness go away. I am a strong believer in light therapy and the difference it's made for me, but I don't think that on its own it corrects everything. I think it helps. I think creams help. I think choosing the right skincare for me helps after a lot of testing and finding the right ones. I think finding the right makeup, if I do have to cover it or if I want to wear makeup, finding the right one that won't irritate my face helps. Exercising helps. mental health, keeping my stress levels down helps, as you saw in my video, if you did watch it, about stress and anxiety and rosacea. That is probably my top trigger, other than maybe the sun. Eating right as well. When I did have some of the Halloween candy, the first thing that happened was that I ended up getting bumpier, rougher looking skin. And now that I've been treating my body better, that has all kind of eased off again. So while none of these things that I'm doing, specifically none of the great meals that I'm eating, or the meditation, or the therapy, or the exercise, none of those specific things are in the name of clearing up my rosacea symptoms and keeping them under control, I think that they play a very important role in my being able to control them over time. And I think that this is the kind of thing that I need to pay more attention to if I want to keep my rosacea controlled. So that's why I'm sharing it here, as opposed to just keeping it on my personal side of things, just with friends and family and stuff like that. I think that there is some benefit to taking care of ourselves, and especially because trying to control rosacea is very hard on your mental health and on your ability to stay happy. And it can be very hard on yourself, so it is important to take a step back and do things that are great for yourself, just on the whole, not just for your face. So that's why I've done this. I am feeling better now than I have in months. It might even be longer than that. The meditation and the mental health therapies have made a shocking difference, and I'm only 10 days in, and I know that a lot of times you go through these things and then you do end up having bad days and things like that, or they won't work and stuff like that. I do know that it's not all just glorious from now forward, but they have made a really big difference. I have felt a lot more positive. People are noticing a difference in me. I feel better overall. The weight has been lifted. I feel like I can cope better, and that has made me feel physically calmer, and that has made my rosacea calmer, and it's just having an overall very positive effect on me. I never could have thought that it would have this positive of an effect on me. I'm really looking forward to seeing after 20 days, after 30 days, and so on, the difference that it makes, and see how it goes long term, because I'm hoping that this isn't just the kind of novelty effect, and that it does keep being this positive going forward, because if this is the case, this won't be a 60-day challenge for me. This will be a long-term lifestyle that I will keep up for basically as long as I can. This was a big babble, but I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the opportunity to be back in front of the camera, back talking to you again, getting the chance to just tell you what this is all about, especially because it has been a long time since I've made a video, because I just couldn't cope with facing the camera, and I didn't want to force myself to be on here, because I know that that's not what you want from me. I've really enjoyed the chance to talk about all of this and explain exactly why and what I'm doing. And, you know, if you have been following me on social media, then you'll know exactly what's going on and why these charts keep appearing at 9 or 10 o'clock every evening. So yeah, so thank you very much for watching this. Thank you for kind of hanging in there with me if you've reached this far in the video. Thank you for participating with me. I welcome you, even if you haven't, you know, there are now 50 days left of my challenge. I welcome you to start 50 days, or to start your own 60 days. There's no rule that says that you have to, you know, start and end with me. I do, and if you do take part in a self-care challenge, I welcome you to tell me about it in the comments, either here or on social media, where I am posting my own progress. If you did like this video, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up. That way I will know. And if you want to see more videos like this, or the ones where I talk about the skincare and the light therapy and all the different things that I do in the name of actually controlling my rosacea, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the little bell button if you want to be alerted when I make new videos, which I plan to do more often from now on. And other than that, I will see you next time.